Hey everybody, welcome to Far Out Dudes.
It's another week, and we got another far-out conversation for you.
I'm one of your hosts, Paul.
I'm one of your other hosts, Joseph.
And let the people know where we're at today, Joseph.
We are live in Utah, Skinwalker Ranch. A little bit of overcast.
Little gloomy here.
Kind of we're going to be okay.
I think it sets the mood for us here. This gloominess that we have.
This
is not a green screen behind us.
No,
okay,
not at
we're
all.
Legitimately.
We hung that sign.
Yes, we took down their other thing that they were hanging there, and we hung our sign there because they knew
We got
we paid them with all of our money that we have.
we got heaters blowing at us from both directions, so we can be on our t-shirts.
Yeah, it's kind of
it's not
it's chilly out here, but you know what? Hey,
jacket.
we're doing it. We wanted to be on location for you guys.
Yes.
This is definitely the background of Skinwalker
Do
Ranch.
not Google the entrance to Skinwalker Ranch because you're looking at it.
Yeah, there's
Okay?
if you
Don't worry about it.
If you Google it, you're gonna find this picture because we're gonna put it in there, and everybody's gonna do that. But if this is your first time watching, if you haven't seen Far Out Dudes before, we are a podcast about far out things.
We're a podcast, and we talk about far out subjects and far out situations.
Yes. So if you like this,
simple.
if you like this podcast, like, share, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your neighbors, and have them like, share, subscribe as well.
Yeah. So the whole point of us being here on location is to talk about Skinwalker Ranch,
Yes.
which is in the Uintah Basin in Utah, northwest Utah to be specific.
Okay.
And what I'm going to be talking about has to do with the owners, Tom Sherman, who owned it in the 90s, like the mid-90s. He was a cattle farmer.
Tom Sherman.
But before we get into that, I want to give you a little bit of story behind Skinwalker Ranch.
Is the story behind Skinwalker Ranch important?
Is very important. It's the reason why these things happen.
It's always important to
happening.
hear the background stories, I guess.
So, cue the drop down. There are two major tribes, the Ute and the Navajo, who lived a love-hate relationship like all tribes did. They were sometimes allying with each other, and sometimes raiding and taking each other's tribes as slaves. However, the relationship between the two completely dissolved during the Civil War when the Ute betrayed the Navajo by allying with Kit Carson, a U.S. Army soldier who was in charge of leading the campaign to push the Navajo completely off their land. And with help from the Ute and the other neighboring tribes, it was a success, and the Navajo surrendered and were forced to march to a reservation at Fort Summer. The Ute eventually moved onto the reservation in the Utah Basin.
Okay. So I guess to summarize that particular segment,
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying is that one Native American tribe
Mm-hmm.
joined with the white man
Yes.
to kick out another Native American tribe.
They're, I guess at the time, weren't allies. So they were like, yeah, let's get them off this and
That's
we'll
weird.
move in.
Because if I know history, I thought it was just the white man that came and moved all the Native Americans out.
No, they weren't all just peace-loving with each other and stayed at each other's boundary lines and territories.
Oh, they
but
attacked each other.
believe it or not, they did.
Oh, wow.
Took each other's tribes as slaves also.
I thought they all respected each other's borders and everything just lived hunky-dory.
Nope, but the Ute have been, ever since then, I should say, ever since then, the Ute have been convinced that the betrayal that they did on the Navajo got the land cursed by said Navajo. And they've been hunted by what they call skinwalkers, which are malevolent, shape-shifting witches of Navajo lore, who in the Uintah Basin take form of giant wolves and other creatures that they have skin or hide of. And the Ute believe that Skinwalker Ranch is in the path of one of those monsters.
Ooh.
And so they all avoid going onto that ranch or that territory to begin with.
Oh, wow. So basically what ended up happening after the Navajo were basically kind of kicked out and everything, they kind of cursed the land with their...
They believe that they cursed the land because they got betrayed.
Skinwalkers, which are shape-shifting Navajo or just anybody?
They're just bad witches.
Just bad witches.
Evil.
Ooh.
evil witches get stitches.
Oh, snap.
But what's really interesting is that the history there are ancient rock arts that tribes have put there that depict strange animal and human hybrid creatures.
Ooh.
And these were put there well before the Civil War incident.
Okay.
And one of the first, I guess, UFO sightings or weird strange sightings there that dates all the way back to 1776 by a European settler, a missionary named Sylvester Velez de Escalante.
Oh.
And I only understood Escalante, so his last name's like Ladder or something.
Well, you know what happened in 1776, right?
We'll get to that. But he describes seeing fiery lights in the sky above his campfire. Well, moving forward in time, in the 1950s, UFO sightings started to pop up everywhere, all across the country, started getting big. And then, especially in the Uintah Basin, there were reports of glowing orbs darting across the sky, coming up from bodies of water around the area. Ranchers around there would start noticing cattle going missing, and obviously were never seen again. And some were later found mutilated.
Ooh.
With surgical precision, not so much being torn up or chewed up by.
Yeah.
And what I'm gonna get into real quick is the first incident of Mr. Tom. I said he was a cattle farmer and whatnot, been doing it all of his life. So, cue that spooky music, please. He has his first round of cattle brought in, which include obviously some calf, and he puts into they put him into those big metal corrals. And as he's unloading boxes from his truck, something catches his eye in the distance. Hundreds of yards away, he sees this large animal on all fours coming toward him and his family.
Ooh. His
wife and 2 kids. He thinks it's a wolf because as it keeps coming closer, he can see it clearer and it gets bigger.
Oh, it almost makes me feel like in the distance over there. I can
see right. If you were to look back there, you see about 200 yards or so. Yeah, you see this big thing crawling up.
I can see it. It's a little frightening.
So he thinks it's a wolf because it keeps coming closer. He can see it clearer and it gets bigger. And as it gets closer to him, even more so, he sees its gray pelt is wet from going through the wet grass. And it keeps coming toward them like S-curves. So it stops about 50 yards from them, and it just stands there, which is very unusual for a wolf.
A giant one at that, and just doing some kind of weird maneuvers of the S.
Yeah, well, like it's hunting or coming up on something.
Yeah.
But this thing is 3 times the size of a normal wolf.
Oh, wow.
That's that are out there.
Almost like the size of, if not bigger than a bear.
Possibly.
Ooh, that's big.
Or a tiger.
Ooh.
A tiger, the size of a tiger.
Ooh.
But this thing's huge.
But a wolf.
And it's coming close, and it just kind of just stands there. And like I said, it was tame, which is very unusual for a huge, gigantic wolf.
Yeah, you would think
that a wild animal,
especially if it's looks like it's hunting its prey. You would think oh, I see my prey. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go after it.
Especially the cattle and the calves.
Yeah.
So a few feet to the right of Tom, where they were standing, is his prized calf he brought and all the other animals, the cattle. Mm-hmm. They put into the crowd. And obviously, he was concerned for them. And all the animals in the crowd could smell. And they all moved back to the far corner to get away from it. Except one curious calf.
It's always got to be.
The way I like to describe this calf is, you've seen the show The Walking Dead, right?
I've seen The Walking Dead, yes.
I describe this calf as Carl. But the reason I describe him as Carl is because it's such a dumb thing to do. And every time I watch The Walking Dead, especially in the earlier seasons, it's why hasn't Carl died yet? I wish Carl would die.
It was kind of a strange thing that he lasted so long, huh? Because he was one of those children that would just be so curious and
that should have died.
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress. So once it got about 10 feet from them, everyone could smell the wet fur. And it trotted right up to Ed Gorman, Tom's dad.
Oh, snap.
And like Tom, he was over 6 feet tall. Mm-hmm. And the wolf came up just short of his chest, so down here.
Well, on his 4s.
No. Ed was standing on his 2 legs like normal humans.
No, I know. I'm talking about the wolf. The wolf was on his fours.
Was on fours,
and he was like up to his
up
chest.
to his chest.
So I would say the thing's standing about 4 feet tall on its fours. The wolf.
Yeah, at least.
Wow.
When usual wolves are like to the waist, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as it came up to him, you could see like it's muscular, the fur and everything, and he described piercing blue eyes.
Ooh.
And he just fell for this wolf. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
So what they think is it may be someone's pet for some reason.
They thought a giant wolf was someone's pet.
3 times the size of a normal wolf. They thought it was someone's pet.
I mean, if you think about a lot of cartel people buy like they brought hippos from Africa.
Yeah,
you know?
But gigantic wolves.
I mean, you never know. I mean, people buy like the strangest things. So.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past them.
You know what? I want a giant wolf.
Ed, being the typical white guy that he is, starts to pet the huge wolf.
Okay.
And then, I'm not joking, he calls for his family, including Tom's kids, Tad and Kate, to come pet it. Which, again, like typical white people, they all start petting it.
So, wait. They were at first terrified of this thing. And then he
calls
calls his children to come pet it.
The grandpa does that.
The grandpa.
Yes. It's like, oh, hey, it's a giant wolf. Let's pet it.
Almost as though like the grandpa knew like it was somebody and not something. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
Almost like he knew it was like the grandpa like knew of the folklore.
Yeah.
And was like, this is not a normal wolf.
This is someone.
Is a shape-shifting witch of the Navajo Nation.
Or maybe, you know how like babies and young kids can see ghosts? Maybe older people can see through like magic stuff.
Yeah. Well, old people can see their death.
Wow. Okay. Didn't know that. We're going to have to get into that later. But Ed's son, Tad, suggested that they keep it as a pet. And as soon as he said that, the wolf jumps toward the corral and latches on to what I now call Carl, the curious calf that had its head stuck out like an idiot.
The wolf's like, oh, they're going to keep me as a pet. Now let me eat some of your cattle.
I got free range.
I'm hungry.
It happened so fast. Like it jumped and did everything and grabbed the calf so fast that everyone was just like standing there paralyzed, like, can't believe it happened that fast. And so the calf started screaming in pain, and Tom ran over and kicked as hard as he could, kicked the wolf in the ribs.
Yeah. So wait, they were surprised that a wild animal all of a sudden decided to eat one of their baby calves.
Well, in one like quick leap, it just went and straight for the calf and grabbed the calf's head. It wasn't like trotted and then jumped and leaped. It was just like boom.
Oh, okay.
All at once.
They were very surprised that
it was just
4 foot tall on its fours wolf just jumped and ate a calf.
Because imagine petting it and all of a sudden, whoa, it's got Carl the calf in its grasp.
Well, it was almost like they were saying, good wolf, go ahead and take one of my calves
as a pet.
He read the situation wrong, I guess. The wolf was like, whoa, I could have swore you guys were talking. Why'd you hit me? It was
I thought we were good.
I thought you were inviting me to have some of your calves. You know, you were petting me. You know, I'm all wet, drenched. I thought you were bringing me.
Now you're kicking me in the ribs.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up.
So at the same time, when Tom's kicking in the ribs, Tom's dad Ed went and grabbed a baseball bat that he had loaded, in the truck, and kept whacking the wolf in the same area, like on the back. And as Tom starts to kick it, he tells his son Tad to go get his Magnum condoms. He was about to show this wolf who's the alpha here. I'm joking.
All right.
He meant his gun, obviously. Okay. Magnum, his gun. So Tad ran into the truck and got the gun and gave it to Tom, obviously. He aimed and shot the wolf straight in the ribs.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he shot him right in the kisser.
No, I probably should have. But he shot the wolf right in the ribs. And you know what happened?
Nothing.
Because
it's a giant wolf.
Well, there was like no yelp, no scream, no blood. It didn't do anything. It just kept on the calf's head.
He's like, what is that, a mosquito? What's going on here, guys?
It's like, oh, little mosquito bites. So he shot it 2 more times. And at the 3rd shot, it finally let go of the calf. Obviously, the calf's head was like bleeding and just, it was really messed up.
It was like, Carl.
But
Carl.
It wasn't.
Why, Carl? Why?
And then Tom shot the calf for being so dumb. I'm joking, but it ran back to its mom and in pain, and they started
bloody.
Yeah. So after that, the wolf stood there about 10 feet from them. No whimpering, no nothing. It just kept staring at Tom.
Mm.
Now, with it being so big, you think it would have killed it, or, it would have gotten hurt from the magnum shots, especially 3 straight to the ribs and everything.
You would think it would have hit some type of vital organ or something.
Yeah. So he brought up his gun again and shot it again near the heart.
Okay.
And this time it backed up maybe 30 feet, but still not hurt or anything. It just backed up and kept staring at him. And at this point, finally, well, I think they were freaked out the whole time, but there was nothing coming from this 3 times up to his chest wolf that just keeps staring at him. And so Tom told his son Tad, who names their son Tad, by the way, but he told him to go get his 30-aught. And that's a big bullet. Like, that's going to bring something down. And so Tom has killed moose with that rifle from like 200 yards away, let alone what's going to do right in front of them.
And moose are huge animals.
He shot multiple, so he was shooting meese.
Ah.
So
we've all seen that TikTok.
So when he shoots him, this thing's gonna do some damage. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna put it down. Something's gonna happen. So he pulled the trigger on this demon wolf or skinwalker, whatever you want to call it, and he heard the bullet hit the meat and bone, and the exit wound took a huge chunk of meat off, as it should.
Yeah.
I
mean, he's shooting them with that caliber from probably that close, right?
Yeah, like 30, 40 feet away.
That's not far.
So after being shot with that freaking huge gun, it did recoil, but it still just stood there. And at this point, Tom knew he messed up. He was freaked out and felt cold sweat go down his back. And his wife, Ellen, started crying because, all this weird crap going around. I'd start to freak out, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like,
I
you
like
shot
how
a giant wolf so many times and it's just standing there.
I like how at that point, that's what would
you're worried.
Not the fact that the wolf just jumped over the fence and started eating its little.
No, it didn't jump
calf.
over the fence. It jumped toward the fence and grabbed the calf's head through the.
Okay,
through
but
the
still,
fence.
like that didn't worry her.
Which, by the way, why couldn't it just jump over the fence and eat it? But I guess that's part of the mystery.
And then
of
he
it.
shoots it 3 times and still walks away like nothing. That didn't worry her.
Mm-hmm.
But finally, he shot it. Was it multiple times or just one time?
You shot it one time with 30-aught.
Okay.
So it's a total of 3-4 shots to it already.
Okay, so through all of that, now she finally feels this is strange.
We need to start freaking out now.
It wasn't enough that the wolf was a giant wolf coming up to us, and our old man grandpa decided to get everybody involved. Let's go pet this thing. But no. It happened after it was walking away, and we shot at it.
Yes.
And blew off a chunk of meat.
And so he raised the gun and shot it again with the 30-aught. And this time, it just backed up and looked at them one last time. And it just started trotting away. Ooh. Back where it came from. And Tom told them that he was going after it. Because why not? Why not go after this giant thing you shot? So him and his son grabbed the Magnum. Again, not his condoms, the gun. And Tom, with the rifle, chased after it on foot. Just white people, man. What are you going to do? They started chasing this thing. Why? I don't know. If I shot a huge-ass wolf thing with all that, I'd be like, good riddance. Go home, get out of here. I wouldn't go chasing after it. That's for dang sure.
If I shot it, I would head that direction on the range.
The opposite way. Yeah.
No, towards the wolf.
Oh, because it ran that way.
No. I would. If it ran that way, then I would go that way.
Then you would go that way.
No, I would go towards the wolf.
Oh, yes, of course. Duh. Why wouldn't you stay safe with your wife and kids?
No. What?
So
what's the point of that? What kind of life are you living?
So he went after it, chasing, thinking he was going to kill it. Maybe after the 4th, 5th, 6th shot would do it, I don't know. So they go after it, and they start to gain on it a little. Because it's moving through the dense trees. It can't run very fast. Luckily, the ground around there was wet. And as they go into the dense trees, they lose sight of it. Mm-hmm. But they can see the footprints marked real well because it's all moist, and
Will
wet.
Willwell?
They can see it well. And Tom, being the skilled hunter that he is, can track the footprints real easily.
Okay.
And once they get close, from breaking into the trees, they can hear the running water from the creek. And as they broke, Tad stopped and tried to listen for the wolf, but couldn't hear anything or see anything, especially a huge-ass wolf. Like, come on. And as the tracks got closer to the creek, it looked like prints sunk deeper into the ground because it was, you're getting closer to water, and it sunk in even more. They kept getting closer to the creek, and then nothing. The tracks just disappeared. Tom didn't think it was possible for that thing to leap 60 feet from where they were at on the river across. Why? I don't know. But, 60 feet's quite a bit.
So he sees a abnormally large wolf, but then he questions the fact that this thing can jump over a little river.
Yes. After it leaped and bounded toward the calf.
Makes sense.
So after that, they just went home like they should have done when it ran off.
Yeah.
But I want to get in real quick what a skinwalker is. What do you know that a skinwalker? What do you know about kind of what it is or kind of the background to it?
Well, I think what I know about skinwalkers are us. We're mammals. We have skin.
Yes.
And we walk.
Yes. So if you didn't have skin, that would be the scary part, right?
Yes.
Well, you're wrong.
Oh, okay.
So skinwalker is actually the opposite of a medicine man. They get in the Navajo culture.
Okay.
And medicine men, as you know, heal people. They perform cleanses and all that positive stuff for their community. Skinwalkers, which can be man or woman, doesn't have a preference. Okay. They don't know anything about shims or zams or anything, but
equity and inclusion. Okay.
They are the opposite, performing, quote, twisted ceremonies and manipulating magic in a perversion of the good works medicine people typically perform.
Ooh.
Traditional healers take years to learn their trade, like any good trade. It takes years to master.
Yeah. Sounds like witches and sorcerers, basically.
Yeah, but they learn about the good and evil magic, and obviously some get corrupt, and they go out and do bad things and become witches.
Like the evil parts of Hogwarts.
So that's something I learned too, is like medicine men or women aren't evil, like they depict in like movies or something, like they always depict medicine men or shamans or whatever as being kind of the bad guys. Okay. So the animals associated with the witchcraft are tricksters like yourself. They are typically like coyotes and may include other creatures that usually are associated with death or bad omens, like ravens and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
The wolf in Navajo culture has another name, and I'll be probably going to butcher it, but it's called Maiko. Maiko?
Michael.
MAI-COH.
Michael.
Meaning
Michael.
witch.
Oh.
Not Michael.
Oh, okay.
Witch.
I thought it was just the English version of Michael.
They're scared of the wolf, not because of its nature of it being an animal and like a predator.
Okay.
But because of the evil behavior of humans and that witches abuse a wolf's power to influence other people. Ooh, so
interesting.
In their
Manipulators.
culture, they're not so much scared of the wolf animal so much as the things behind it, that
the individual that might be controlling and manipulating the moves and the actions of this
being a trickster.
Ooh. And this is all on Skinwalker.
This is
on the ranch.
That's a background to what a Skinwalker kind of is, and how you, not so much how you become one, but kind of the basis foundation of what a Skinwalker is, just an evil witch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you on your seat, the edge of your seat.
I'm at the edge of it.
There's a lot more, so this will be part 1. Okay. So make sure to come back next week for part 2.
Yes.
Of Skinwalker Ranch. We're going to be right here. Hopefully next time it's going to be a little more sunny. I know it's a little overcast, like we said, but try to get the lighting as correct as we could.
You know what? But I think it sets the mood, the weather.
Oh,
it sets the mood for Skinwalker Ranch series that we're going to be doing. So
yeah, it's been really fun out here, going around with the cowboys and rustling up some grub. And
Joseph loves the cowboys.
I love cowboys. So like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to hit this bell. And if you like it, just share it. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you find podcasts.
And we'll see you next week for another Far Out conversation.
This is the end.